Okay, let's take these apart. So we've got our near side carburetor. For those who don't understand near and far side, near side is normally where the curb is. Far side is the furthest from the curb. It's an old-fashioned way to describe which side of the car you're talking about, because when you say left and right, whose left and right is that? So one way is to say near curb, far from curb. So that's the near side. So we'll start with that one first. And what we'll probably do, I wonder if this is some sort of power jet. Don't know. That's interesting. This I've not seen it on my old 350 power valves. So this could have been a slightly updated modification to the carbs. Anyway, let's whip this off. Now, interesting fact. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe on that one. Woo! Can you see the little dot near the crosshead? I've all got them. That one there, dot. That was mangled. And that one there, it's got a dot just at the top of the screw crosshead. These are Japanese, obviously, and they came up with, I think it's JIS crosshead screwdriver. It's slightly different from your normal crosshead or Phillips drives, etc. This isn't a proper screwdriver, and because of that, you'll see on every Japanese bike over the years mangled crossheads. It's because people like me don't buy the right tool that fits in there. But I want to buy one. They're very expensive. So I'm still on this hunt for one. I can't seem to locate one. There's sometimes online you can find them, but I haven't found one yet. So apologies to all restoration owners. I'm not using the right screwdriver, and this is why you get mangled crossheads. Okay, moment of truth. Yes, it's got some liquid in there. I'm amazed it hasn't dried out. It's been sitting in, I don't know how many Australian summers. You would have thought it would have evaporated. Maybe the two-stroke is the saviour. So let's see if this pops off. I may have to give it a bit of a tap. Oh, I like it. Yes. Oh well, that's good. Save gouging the tailpipe. Now I'm going to somehow get this off without damaging the float, because that is stuck on hard. Let's see if we can just crack that. There's a float in there, and I don't want to pinch the poor thing. Yeah, so we've got a bit of, I wouldn't say that's corrosion, it's probably just varnish. from dried out petrol. There's little floats. They look like they're stuck. Yeah. So I think I don't want to bend it. There's a it's not on there straight. It's difficult to see. Zoom in. Zoom. It's quite. So that there's a pointy. So to get our bearings, if you're not understand a carburetor, so I'm holding it upside down. So what normally would be happening is the float bowl is under here. Fuel comes in, and like a bathtub, it fills up with petrol. To stop it overflowing, there's these little air-filled plastic floats, and you can see they slightly move up and down. So as the petrol fills in, the float naturally wants to rise up. It keeps rising, and it puts pressure on the back here. There's a little tang of metal, and behind it is the I suppose the fuel cutoff. It pushes a pin up, and that stops the petrol coming out from the tank. So as the bike consumes petrol, this drops down slightly, lets in more fuel, and so the cycle continues. And what can happen is sometimes these can get stuck down, fills up with petrol and overflows, and you see it coming out on the street. So sometimes you give them a good tap on the side, it gets these moving again, or frees them, and gets it working. But that is not enough movement there. That should be moving quite significantly. So the other thing is, I noticed that this is not on there square, so that should be sort of in parallel with that line there. It's sort of half hanging on the corner. So what we'll do is there's a little pin in here. It's just a push fit. We'll push that pin out, remove the floats, and we'll pull out this cut-off valve, I suppose you call it. That there is the main jet, and there's no way any petrol would be going through that small pinhole. That pinhole goes straight through the middle and comes out there where that copper hole is. So your valve, throttle slider would come down there with a pin or needle, and the needle would go down that hole, and as you pull your needle up, it lets more fuel in. So let's just take this apart. So you can see there's what looks like a nail. So that should come out with a little tap. Now that looks to me as though that's been nailed over. Which is a worry, because that's going to be hard to extract out. So I basically got to knock that out. The pin needs to go punk, and then the floats will come out. So I've got a drift, but the problem is that drift, it's the smallest one I've got, That's too big for that. So it started to move. So it's taken the nail off, but it's too tight to go through the rest of the hole. So what I might do is, it's not great, but this is just a nail, thin diameter. I'm just going to grind that flat on the top and make a mini drift. Yep, it's good. There's not much force in these. It's not going to go anywhere because the shape of the float bowl won't allow that to come out. And just don't lose the thing. There it goes. So it's just going to slide out, he says, gently. So that's the, where are we? There's the pin. And then let's move this back. So this should just come up. Just be very gentle because these are slightly delicate. See, that's how it should sit. I just wanted to pop off so I can have a look at it before I come on, just slide down there, that's it. So they're okay. So just come up, we can clean those. This is I'm worried about. It's going to come up. Just going to slide that small spring off so don't damage that. But this should just fall out, and it's not properly gummed up. Don't like using these, but there we go. Oh, there she goes. So let's zoom in. This is the what stops the petrol coming. Just I suppose some sort of rubber or plastic cone that sits inside another cone, and when they shut together they form a seal. Now you can see there's a slight scuffing mark all the way around. It's probably where it sits against the tube, and after a time these can wear out and you basically buy a whole new float valve. But it's probably okay. I mean, we'll know if it's not working because it just floods petrol everywhere. So that will go in there. Ooh, it's got so much crap on it. Okay, don't want to come out. Get out. I should have cleaned it a bit. I don't think so somehow. Anyway, looking at that face is not ideal. can see it, there's a slight, so you got the incoming fuel at the bottom, main jet, and maybe this is an idle jet. Could be talking a load of rubbish here because it's been a while. Now we could get a very fine screwdriver down there and extract it, but it's quite a small hole. Come on. Whew, that's a bit of luck. See how much crap is on this. So with all these sorts of things, they're made of brass and they're very soft. So if you start poking around and gouging stuff, you can easily make things worse. So anyway, I think that's as far as we can probably go. We could take that out. Let's count, because these are setting the idle, I don't know, mixture, could be anything. So what we'll do is we'll count these out, full rotations. So we got 1, 2, 10. So we'll get most of it, I'll give it a provisional rinse out with kerosene, because it's not too stinky like petrol. Well, it looks like they're all free and blowing. I think this is the mixture screw. Feels like it's fully wound in. Oh no. So let's wind it all the way in. So that's half, 1, 1.5. So let's give it a bit of a ultrasound clean. 5 minutes, I think. It's quite noisy. Well, that was clean Kero. Certainly seems to have cleaned up quite nicely. You can see the window where we lined it up, the slide. Anyway, give that a blow out. So yeah, so this is it cleaned up, but what you need to be careful with the carburetors is any of these brass fittings. Don't be tempted to get in there with a scraper and scrape the varnish out or rubbish out, because any defects can cause problems with your carburation. So this one here, which one? This one. So that's the main jet, which has the jet screws into there. You can just see the thread that it screws into, and this was the sticking float bowl valve, which allows the petrol to come in. And you can see at the bottom there's probably a shiny taper that the tip of the valve would press against very gently, like very gentle pressure on there. And if that's scratched or there's a bit of crap, you can see there's still a bit of varnish down the bottom there. Will cause it not to seal and overflow. So you got to be a bit meticulous about cleaning the carbs to get as much of this varnish out. Once it gets used a bit, the petrol flowing through would hopefully start to ease off some of the residual rubbish, but you don't want a chunk floating around your float bowl and then blocking one of the jets, and you'll be struggling to work out why your engine's not running. So this, even though this has come up quite nicely now, we've still got a little bit of cleaning to do. Probably one more rinse and then we should be good. You can see with the float bowls, they need a good clean. It's going to take a while. All that is just, I call it, I suppose, petrol varnish. It's stuck on there quite well, but after a couple of rides, all it takes is a bit of flake to come up and get stuck in one of the jets, and you'll have problems. So we're going to have to get in there with a little wire brush and just gradually clean that all out. I think I might do that tomorrow. So I think that's it for today. Let's come back putting it back together. So here we can see the clean version. Hopefully you can tell the difference. So that's all cleaned up. Lots of valves and things. I say valves. The jets. This one in particular, tiny little thing, that was certainly blocked. If you held it up to the light, you couldn't see through it. In fact, the only way I could clean it was to leave it in some petrol and put it in the ultra cleaning. Put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, so they're all clear, all the holes are blowing through, and we've got rid of all the varnish off the metalwork. So now we just got to work on this one. You can see this brown varnish, which won't wash off. You sort of have to gently ease it off with a stiff brush, and take your time over it. But lots of things were completely blocked. It just would not have started if I just put fresh petrol in. So it's a good service and clean up. So far we haven't needed to buy new jets or jet kit. Might still need to do it. We won't know until we try to get it running, and then running well. It might start but run rough. Yeah, so I'll assemble this one and then we'll start working on this one, cleaning that up. One last thing we need to do before to put the carbs back in is just give these a clean as well, the slides, because they're gummed up the needle here. They're pretty easy to remove. If you can see in there, you basically got the throttle cable coming through the spring and it's connected to the slide. All you do is you get the spring so it's compressed up into the top. You can see down in there, it's got like a little spring at the back, like a V spring wire, and so you just gently pull it away and it just unclips, and then carefully let the spring out. So next we can remove the needle. So there's 2 screws in there. We'll just pop those out. It's nothing particularly special. We've just got the base and the spring that goes on the top to hold the throttle in place. But what is important to note is you can see, take these gloves off, you can see the top of the needle is there's grooves, and you can see where that circlip is. It's basically a simple circlip. So we can see on that one, let's really zoom in. What is that? So that's 2 from top, 2 out of 5 positions. So that means you can alter the height of the needle in relation to the carburetor. So remember where that needle was poking through that brass hole, you can raise and lower, and that you can then effectively tune the engine to different conditions. To be honest, I can't remember why you would need to change it or when you would need to change it. That's something we'll probably investigate in a video in the future. So for the time being, we can leave it as standard. In fact, we can look in the manual to see what is the stock setting. And also, I think you can see, I think that's the needle size, maybe. Not sure. Could be just a part number. Yeah, it might be just a part number. Anyway, it looks like, oh, I'm having trouble reading that. Some symbol, 5 L2 0. So we'll give those a clean, reassemble that one, and then we'll repeat for the other one on the other side so we don't mix them up. Cool. Can you see in there? Just. So there's that pin sticking out very slightly and has to line up with that groove. So it makes it easy just to orientate it. And you can see again the drill dimple in the side. We'll use that to line up in there as per the manual. So it's a bit hard to see, but anyway, there's a dimple. Let's zoom right in. I'll get this right. You can just see that dimple just coming into view. That has to be lined up with the window at fully open throttle. So you adjust the cable so that's lined up just in the window. Fingers crossed. And then obviously the spring. Spring goes in there. That will push it down till you open the throttle. So all we've got to do now is the far side one, pretty straightforward. It's all cleaned up. These are now, where are we? Here we go. These are now clean all the way through. They look pretty good condition. Actually, there's no wear marks or chafing. They came up quite well. And yes, the far side one is in the same position. The clip is to from the top. Cool.